Thanks for listening to Live Forever Young Radio. It's a lot easier to reach your goals when you have a positive attitude and a clear vision of what you want to accomplish. On the show today, Bob and Rollie talk about power visualization and the law of attraction, and how positive or negative thoughts and visions can bring positive or negative experiences into one's life. Learn how to define the goals that are most important to you by using clarity through contrast, and how to emit positive energy to attract positive energy while improving your health, wealth, and personal relationships. So sit back, relax, and get ready to live forever young.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Live Forever Young Radio. I'm Bob. I'm here with Rollie. How you doing today, Rollie?
I'm doing great, Bob. Good to see you, man.
Good to see you. And, after our last show, I went and pulled up on the computer the standings for the National Hockey League.
Yeah, okay. And what did you see?
What I discovered was that of all the teams, there's 31 teams?
I think
maybe?
there's 32.
32 teams. The Tampa Bay Lightning were within 2 points of the top.
Yep.
So they had 37 points, and there were a couple one had 39 points, a couple had 38.
Yep.
But they're in the top five.
Right.
And they're within like one game of getting 2 points away from being on the top.
They're right there, man.
Right.
They're having a good year. And you know what a lot of the people who do sports do in order to have a great year is they visualize. They use that as a tool, actually. You have done a lot of work with sports people in that type of area, right? Helping them to visualize how they can get better and use that power to improve their game. So that's kind of like what we're talking about. On the last show, we were talking to Chris Gibson. If you haven't seen it, check that out. It's our last show with Chris Gibson, and he's a skincare expert, and he also does a lot of
law of attraction practices and like that.
Mm-hmm.
It's very spiritual,
right?
And uses visualization to manifest the things that he's working on in his life.
Right.
So some people call this the law of attraction. And in fact, there's a book written by Joe Vitale, who was one of the teachers in the movie The Secret, and it's called Law of Attraction. Okay. Now there's another book called The Law of Attraction, which is not the same thing.
Okay.
And we'll be talking about Joe Vitale today in his book, Law of Attraction.
Cool.
And Joe's a psychologist that's very famous for teaching people techniques on how to be their best self, how to identify what they want from life, and what's the most effective ways to do things to get it. So a lot of what we'll talk about today is from Joe. And in addition, later on, we're going to talk about some techniques from a book called The One Thing. And that was written by Gary Keller, who founded the Keller Williams Real Estate Company.
Oh, yeah.
And it's the largest firm of its kind in the United States, probably the world.
I think they say that's, the biggest real estate agency in the entire world.
So we'll talk a little bit about his book, The One Thing, and that'll go along with what Joe teaches. And so the law of attraction essentially is to identify a state of mind or a thing or a location where you would like to live, but something you would like to aspire toward in your life.
Right.
And you would like to set up an energetic type of positivity that'll make it more likely that you get it. Okay? And so, for example, a very simple example but extremely profound is a technique called the power of yet.
Okay.
Or more precisely, it's the power of not yet.
The power of not yet.
And if people were to go on to TED.com and watch TED Talks, there's a TED Talk called The Power of Yet.
Okay.
And it's a woman, a brilliant psychologist, who's reporting on research that she used with children in New York City, teaching them how to just simply say the phrase, not yet. And so if they were asked a question, say it's a fourth grader, and they were to say to the fourth grader, can you read at a sixth grade level? The child would say, instead of saying no, they would say, not yet. Have you mastered your multiplying fractions? And the answer would either be yes or not yet. Never no.
Right.
And she instituted this school-wide at this school that was an underperforming school. And they utilized this for a year during this research study. And what they found is that the children in that school improved their academic capability all the way up to the highest performing schools in the country.
Really?
In the wealthiest communities, with the children from the highest socioeconomic echelons. These children, which were in the lower socioeconomic communities, elevated their school performance all the way up to the top simply by saying not yet.
Wow.
So what does that tell you? It tells you that your state of mind, your frame of mind, your attitude obviously makes a big difference in your life.
In your performance,
right?
too,
And so say, some people that are always filtering information and making it worse than it really is, that Albert Ellis, another famous psychologist, called those people awfulizers.
Right. We
So
talked
they
a
would
little bit about that.
They would either distort information, or they would delete information that was good, or they would generalize and say, oh, well, that's just like that. That's bad. This is just like that. So this is also bad. And by constantly having filters this way, you became a negative person. And what he called an awfulizer. And their life wasn't very happy. And so he would teach people what he called the rationally motive technique to get them out of that habit, out of that pattern. Okay, and so there's just a couple of examples. And then Dr. Joe Vitale, in his book Law of Attraction, talks about a concept called clarity through contrast. Right, because a lot of times Joe would say to people that he was helping, what is it that you want for your life, from your life? What do you want to become? What do you want to accomplish? And people weren't sure. But what they were sure of is what they didn't want. And so Joe created a simple sheet of paper that said, don't want, and the opposite. So he started out with this contrast. List all the things you know you don't want, and what's the opposite of it, and begin to think about, are those the things you do want? Okay? And so maybe what I don't want is poverty. So what's the opposite of that? Abundance. Maybe what I don't want is poor health. So what's the opposite of that? Excellent health.
Right.
And so it's a tool to help you to begin to make your list of your vision for your life.
Well, that's good. Yeah, because, it's funny, as you go through life, people ask you, what's your goals? What is it that you want to become? And a lot of the times, you think about it, but you don't think about it in a critically thinking way. And to take the opposite and start with what we don't want gives us a really good roadmap to get to where we want to go.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
And then once you have certain things, you can now begin to use power visualization, which is part of the law of attraction, and creating visions of what it is you want. So some people will do it just in their mind and will say, okay, to have excellent health, I want to visualize being strong, where I can easily lift up things and walk up the stairs with it.
Right.
I would love to be strong enough and have enough balance to take 4 bags of groceries and walk up the stairs without using the handrail. Okay? And also, I would like to be free of pain.
Sure.
Okay?
Who wants to be in pain?
So I would like to be limber, flexible, and have a really clear state of mind because I'm free of pain.
Right.
And so what some people could do is close your eyes and make a picture of yourself in that state. So watch yourself climbing up the stairs with the groceries, and you're seeing yourself doing this, and you see yourself easily bending over to pick something up off of the floor, easily picking up your child or your grandchild and throwing them over your shoulder and spinning around in circles and playing baseball, etc. And so this is the visualization that you would see.
Gotcha.
Now, some people will take it beyond that and actually use a vision board or software called Mind Movies, which actually digitizes your vision board, right? And so there's a story in the movie The Secret about a vision board where a man named John Asseroff, who's a famous business advisor and counselor, was sitting in a new house with his son, who was 5 years old, and they were unpacking boxes. And his son pulled out an old vision board that was a piece of cardboard with pictures that John had cut out from magazines and different places and had glued them onto this board. And these were his visions for the future for himself. And so they were looking at the vision board, and his son pointed to the picture of a house, which was this beautiful home up on the side of a mountain, multi-story, gorgeous mansion looking out over the water. His son pointed to it, and John looked at it, and this was from many, many years ago. He looked at it, and he was shocked to realize that they were sitting in that house. That exact house, not a house like it. The house that was in the picture.
That's crazy.
But he didn't do it on purpose, so to speak. He purposefully put the picture of the house there as a representation of the kind of place he'd like to live. He ended up living in that exact house.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's the law of attraction.
That's the law of attraction. And so now you can make such a vision board, or with the software called Mind Movies, or you can do it even with a PowerPoint presentation.
I was going to say PowerPoint could work too.
PowerPoint can work. What you do is you find pictures on the internet. If you're going to make a board, find pictures that you can cut out of a magazine or print out with your color printer, and then arrange them on the board or arrange them in the software. And with the software, you're able to put overlays of wording or wording in the next slide. So you can show a picture of something you're looking to accomplish. Say it's the example of the health of being strong enough to carry these packages. You would find a picture of a person carrying packages upstairs. And then in the next slide, you would write out in the slide, I am so grateful now that I have the strength and balance to carry my groceries upstairs without using the handrail. Okay? And so now what you've done is you've made this depiction of it. And then you pick another goal, the one about pain-free. Another one related maybe to your circulation, your nutrition status, and you stack them together in this mind movie, and then you pick a song that's uplifting and is going to give you motivation. And you then each day, you turn on your computer and you play your mind movie. It might be 3 or 4 or 5 minutes long, and you focus on it. And it's all of your hard work of doing clarity through contrast, picking out these images, picking out your music, picking your declarations, affirmations, and intentions, okay? Putting them all together, doing it once, and then using the software to remind you every single day.
That's awesome. That's great. And then that way you don't have to try to pull those images up in your mind. You can have a visual representation. Again, a great roadmap to get to where you want to go.
Yes. And inside the software, you're expressing gratitude as if, right? So you're expressing gratitude as if it's already done. Okay? Now, you have to be a little bit careful with this because your unconscious mind might say, well, this is BS because it's not already done, and now you've got this contrasting energy, right? And so, but if you start to feel funny about that, be sure to focus on intentions. I'm so grateful I have the intention to be strong enough to, right?
Gotcha.
All right, and I'm so grateful this is already done. Well, what's already done? The intention is already done.
That's half the battle.
Right. And this was a technique that Harv Eker, who's a very, very, very well-known motivational coach, kind of guy that puts on a weekend seminar and 2,000 people show up.
Nice.
Okay? And the author of the famous book called Secrets of the Millionaire Mind. Right?
There you go.
And he was the one that came up with that specific aspect of the law of attraction that might help some people get over this contrasting energy.
Right, yeah, because, I mean, you can fool yourself some of the times, but maybe not all the times.
Yeah.
But if you can kind of realize it's not the action, but the intention.
Yes,
and
exactly.
That's the key, because if that intention isn't there, then that action can never happen.
Yep.
Awesome.
And so things, tend to come about. So like with the first time I made a mind movie, I put like 6 or 7 different things on the mind movie. Okay, this is probably 10 years ago. Now, of those things, 3 of them have come true. Right, one was to support the Yvonne Reed Christian School in South St. Pete.
Okay,
and to help Yvonne. And lo and behold, shortly after I put that up there, a person approached me and said, my brother-in-law is in charge of this foundation that supports children. And if you ever have a really good cause for children, let me know about it. He needs new projects to fund.
What?
Yeah. This was Peggy Dahl, who I was telling you about earlier, came to me with that. And the next thing you know, hooked up her brother-in-law with Yvonne. Boom. A really significant grant that helped her school dramatically.
That's amazing.
Right? Yeah. And so things
awesome.
like that can happen. And that's really good. You're more likely to manifest things like this if you utilize what are called sub-modalities. So what it really is aspects of something. So for example, if you're looking at being strong to carry your groceries up the stairs, okay, what you can do is imagine aspects of that. For example, how fast are you climbing up the stairs?
Okay.
How easily are you climbing up the stairs? How do you feel when you get to the top of the stairs and realize you just did exactly what your intention was?
Wow,
How do you feel? Okay. What does it look like? Are these stairs inside or are they outside? And if they're outside, what's all around you? Do you see green trees, bright sunshine? How does it feel to be in that bright sunshine, triumphant at the top of those stairs? How do your muscles look? Do your muscles look strong or stronger?
Okay.
How do your muscles feel after you've carried this up the stairs? Do you still have more energy to do even more? Go get another load.
Go get another one, yeah.
And so the more you get specific, and also the more you amplify, right? So imagine it to the extreme. Here I am walking up the stairs. This is my current physical condition and what I look like. And now I'm going to look at graduations of my strength. The next time, my muscles look a little stronger and I look a little more spry and I'm carrying 2 bags of groceries. Now, the next time I'm carrying 3, then 4. My muscles are getting bigger and stronger and my face is looking happier, right? And so, and you can even go to the extreme if you want, where you look like
Arnold
Charles
Schwarzenegger.
Atlas or Arnold Schwarzenegger.
One of the two.
Right? So it's like, look, there's Rollie climbing the stairs with 28 bags of groceries, and he's running up the stairs.
That's awesome.
And there are people that can do that.
I believe it.
There are. And so this is the aspect of submodalities.
So you're using these specific examples in your mind to make it more real and to help to complete that visualization.
Yeah. And the more you focus on it, like the color, you can say, wow, when I get to the top of the stairs, the sun is going to be shining. Really? Well, what time of day is it? Is it the morning sun because you have so much energy, you were up before dawn?
Right.
Or is it a beautiful sunset? And if it's a beautiful sunset, what are the colors? Right?
That's cool.
And the more you train your mind to think about little nuances that are added to that, the more energy you get from it, because where your thoughts go is where your energy goes.
Right. Right.
And so you're adding energy. You're creating new energy, right? When they say change your energy, change your life. So if you're going to change your energy from dragging yourself out of bed to bounding up the stairs with your groceries, you're changing your energy immediately just by thinking about it, okay? Because then it's going to lead you to action.
Right.
So what do you have to do first, right? What's the first step that you're going to do is one step.
One
right?
step.
One step. So take 2 bags of groceries that you can hold in one hand if you need to because they're straps, but hold one in each hand and take that first step and see if you're balanced. Then, if the second step requires you to put the bag in the other hand and hold the rail, take another step, then practice. Just put one in each hand, try to take another step, right? The next day or the day after that, try taking 2 steps at the beginning. One step, because to take one step is one thing, right? But to take 2 steps, you have to use different muscles because you have to balance on the other leg, bring the other leg up, push up on that leg, right? And to be able to actually walk stairs requires a lot more muscle coordination, strength, flexibility than just taking one step. But you have to start with that one step.
Right.
Okay? And so in the book, One Thing by Gary Keller, he talks about focusing on one thing, right? Pick the one thing that's most important to you and focus on that and get started with steps. And he talks about dominoes, right? You can take one domino, and if you tip it, it will actually tip over a domino that weighs twice as much because of the momentum of that domino falling.
The action.
It will actually tip a domino that's twice as heavy. And then that domino will tip one that's twice as heavy, and on and on and on. Okay? And so he says, pick one thing, one big thing that's most important to you right now for your life. Okay? So let's say, for example, after doing your clarity through contrast, say this one thing is I want to get stronger because I know that if I get stronger, I'm going to feel better, I'm going to look better. And that is my one thing. Okay? So what do I have to do first, second, and third in order to get there?
Right.
Okay? And so you have 3 to-dos. And I would suggest in this regard, try walking those steps, just like I said, with just 2 bags of groceries. One step, have the ability to use the railing if you need to. Okay? And then another thing is, in order to do that, you have to have balance and strength, okay? So make a commitment that each day, for 1 minute, you're going to work on balance and strength. So what would you do? Stand by your bedside and do really small, deep knee bends, right? Just a little bit down, a little bit up, a little bit down, a little bit up, okay? And then, of course, the next day you'll do a little more, a little more, a little more.
Right.
Okay. But that first step is just that single day for 1 minute, do some deep knee bends.
Gotcha.
Okay. And then you want to do some balance exercises. You can do a little thing called the pendulum, where you can stand next to your bed, better stand next to a chair, hold on to the chair with one hand, stand on one leg, and swing your other leg. And then let go of the chair and see if you can stay on balance. Okay. If not, grab the chair. The next day, you'll probably be able to swing your leg a couple more times without holding onto the chair. And eventually, bag the chair, swing both arms while you stand on one leg, and swing your leg as far forward, as far back as you can. This might take you a month to get to this point. It's called the pendulum exercise. Great for balance, syncs up your brain in this balance mindset.
Right.
Do that in combination with your deep knee bends that you increase little by little.
Right.
Okay. And next thing you know, you're beginning to actualize and accomplish your initial visualization, which was the picture you made of yourself walking these stairs.
There you go. Okay?
Because the law of attraction can help, and in some cases it's almost like a miracle. When I declared I wanted to help Yvonne's school, the next thing you know, boom, here's a contribution.
Right.
That's one thing, but most of the time, it requires action.
Right.
Right. And then the more that you take action, right, the more you change your energy. Because
Right.
now you're into a positive accomplishment mode, your energy is changing, and you are training your body to draw your new life to you by your daily actions, right? And as that occurs, the law of attraction begins to work better and better, and it becomes easier and easier to accomplish your goals because you're stacking these successes on top of another. And always remember to celebrate.
Right. Got to celebrate.
Comes from the tiny habits.
Correct. We talked about tiny habits in some other shows.
Yeah, in another show. And that celebration is critically important because it trains your body mind to be happy about what happened and to feel really good about what just happened, because your body, mind, and soul tends to move towards things that make you feel good.
Right.
Yeah,
of course.
And so this is the basic outline of how the law of attraction works.
It's really cool when you think about it. In a couple other shows we did, like Finding a New Perspective with Lucy Forsting, we talked about how you visualize and create your own reality. And I think that this is just kind of another take and another way to make that reality that you visualize come true, and become what you want to be. And using techniques like power visualization, where you focus on specific things, these sub-modalities, gives a really good tool in order to be able to not get lost in the sauce. Don't like we were talking, you're not sure what your goal is, or if you've kind of lost track of your goals, start over. Clarity through contrast. Use those things that you decide you want to be your goal as your starting point. And that's a really good tool. And a lot of people can lose track of that, especially when they're, stuck with everyday life. So
Yeah, this is the basic part. If you want to learn more advanced techniques, there's a lot of really good books about it.
Yes.
One is called Becoming Superhuman.
Okay.
And Becoming Superhuman was written by another Dr. Joe. This is Dr. Joe Dispenza. And this is taking it on to the next level.
Gotcha. Well, that's awesome, Bill. Thank you for the information.
Great, Rollie. Thank you. And thank you, everyone, for watching and listening to Live Forever Young Radio. We'll see you on the next show.
Thanks for listening to Live Forever Young Radio. Check us out at liveforeveryoungradio.com.